Hello and welcome, progressive thinkers. You are about to hear from one of the most dynamic and impactful business leaders. Mr. Edward Hartley presents unprecedented insider's information on how not to just manage your business, but to be successful in it. This signature series is called The Night Owl and was designed with you and your success in mind. The presentation comes from one of Mr. Hartley's actual training sessions with a live audience in the United States. It's a candid, no-holds-barred seminar where he provides his tools for growth in any business. Take a moment to pause where needed so you can take notes or just rewind to make sure you've captured it all. We thank you for listening. Now, here's Mr. Edward Hartley with The Night Owl.
So ladies, I want to talk to you about the process. And what I'm sharing with you today has everything to do with how you build relationships. Now let's just accept the fact that in this particular room we have people of all walks of life, all backgrounds, all ages. Matter of fact, I see some baby boomers in here. Don't raise your hand, I know who you are. I can spot y'all. It's okay, it's a dead giveaway who you are. Hey, it's the receding hairlines, the gray hair. I'm one of them, I know. But here's the thing, it's funny because in this very room just a couple of hours ago we had a coffee jazz mixer. And a gentleman that I was talking to, one of Sheldon's guests, he and I were able to commiserate on a couple of levels. The fact that he and I have the same kind of background and experience. But that background and experience is what allowed for me to come and do what I did in this business. Does that make sense? Now, some of you don't know my background. Some of you don't know. All you know is what you've read. What you read was propaganda. I put that out there deliberately. But for real. The propaganda I put out there is I was a construction company owner, blah, 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 blah. But you didn't know is how I got the construction company. And I'm going to take you back. I'm going to rewind for a little while because the team needs to understand. The team needs to understand where my level of expertise came and why when Mr. Bugs asked me, he said, bring your knowledge and expertise to the company. I was like, nah, bro. Y'all making way too much money. Let me do what y'all did. Let me forget about my past and focus on what you guys did, and let's execute. Because it truly was easy. It was simple. It was just coffee. But what's happening now, especially, and I used to tease you guys in Baltimore and Maryland and wherever you come from all around the metro area. I used to tease you guys, but really, the fact of the matter is, it's true. You guys are the intellectual group. You are the intellectual market. How many doctors do we have? If you just happen to have doctor before or after, or however y'all put it in, whether it's PhD or MD or whatever, if you're one of those, raise your hand. Okay, so we have just three right here. If you're in the legal profession, raise your hand. If you're in the tax profession, raise your hand. If you're some high-level professional, raise your hand. Okay, so what I'm saying is this is what we're attracting, and it's going to keep on happening. You should have raised your hand. I didn't see your hand go up. You should have raised your hand. I didn't see your hand go up.
I didn't think you.
I notice everything. That's the unfortunate thing. I notice everything. I was trained that way. I truly do use every bit of my peripheral views. That's why sometimes you guys don't even notice. Something happens when I stand in front of the room. I see everything. And I kind of move according to what I see because that's how I was trained. I was trained as a forensic accountant. That means I walk in and the things I'm going to teach you tonight is what I've learned over 20 years. It's the stuff that allowed me to sell multi-million-dollar contracts in a short period of time. And I'm going to teach you the stages of relationship building so that you can better move through the process. The reason some of us are not experiencing the kind of success we want is because we're either moving too fast or too slow, or absolutely unsure of how to do something. So, interestingly enough, Mr. Jolivet, you asked me a question in the car, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Just as we were pulling up, didn't you? And I said, don't worry, we'll cover that, right? Because that all plays into the stuff that I'm going to talk about tonight. You've got to become knowledgeable and become truly proficient in this. You've got to know. So let me tell you about how the construction company came about. So I traveled around, and let me go further back. I worked for a company called Ingersoll Rand. Prior to that, I worked for a company called Price Waterhouse Coopers. I worked in the tax department. I handled all the high-level tax work. And then I went over to Ingersoll Rand, and I did all of the international tax. That was my profession. I learned that stuff. I knew how to do it. Then I would always, it's funny, from my days at PwC, I would watch the consultants. See, I was stuck in the office. I was the tax guy. But I was stuck in the office watching all the consultants across. The consultants were the guys who wore all the $1,000 suits. They always came in with their roller bags. They sat down, and when their shoes were ready to be shined, they didn't have to go down the elevator and go down to the shoe shine shop. They had shoe shine people come to them because those were the money makers. Those are the guys that had the skill, the talent to go bring in the millions of dollars, the consultants. Well, it's interesting. I said, well, wait a minute. I like what I see over there. I'm going over there and do that one of these days. But I had to make a detour. I ended up working for Ingersoll Rand, and I realized that I had a lot of talent built in from the experience that I picked up from touching that kind of high-level money. And from dealing with that kind of high-level money, I had confidence. I had no fear. But what I had to develop was the skill on how to move. Now, you heard Mr. Eminence talk about skill on the last Millionaire Mentorship call. Say yes, everybody.
Yes.
Because you all should have been on that Millionaire Mentorship call.
Yes.
Okay? He talked about the 3 areas of skill you have to develop. First one is prospecting. You got to develop your skill in prospecting. Absolutely imperative. But most people don't know how to do it, and most people may not know where they're going wrong with that. Some people are very good, some people are moderately good, some people are just horrible. The second skill is presenting. And that's secondary to what I talk about in terms of prospecting, because if you have no one to talk to, you got no one to present to. And then the last is when you're more developed, you begin promoting. Absolutely good. But there are some stages that go into development. So now, what really brought this to my awareness was a young lady in Atlanta, Georgia, who's been with the company now about 2 years. And every time she saw me, wherever I was, she would always sit down. I mean, if I left the meeting and went into the restaurant where we had the hotel meeting, there she was. She'd just sit down. And she would talk. And I would always be, man, she's sharp. And then whenever she did 3-ways or she would have sit-downs, the people she would bring to the sit-downs, it was sharp. And yet, she couldn't get out of consultant gear. Matter of fact, she could get out of no gear. She just was getting nowhere. And it was probably about 2 weeks ago, she sat down with me, and I was just sitting there having my meal while she's talking, and it finally hit me. It finally hit me. Thank you. Appreciate it. It finally hit me what was wrong. It hit me like a 2x4. And I'm like, there it is. I got it. Now, I'm telling you, this young lady put me on the phone with high-level professionals, though she was not one. She put me on the phone with the former mayor, Bill Campbell. She was nobody high in politics. She put me in front of, city officials. She had me downtown meeting at the Commerce Club with high-level professionals. And I'm like, why it could just never finish. She would always get to that point but we could never finish. And I'm like, what the heck is going wrong? Now, I'll tell you, she's not frontline to me. She's, matter of fact, third level to me. But that night, it came out because I heard her say something. And I said, I got it. I said, I need you to be a guinea pig because I'm going to teach you something right now, and let's see what happens over the next week or so. And she had some success over that next week. That's when I started saying, you know what, doggone it. Some of you guys don't know my background. Some of you guys don't know my skill, but I'm going to teach you what I know. I'm going to teach you how to move relationships forward because most of our relationships are breaking down somewhere. I know exactly where it breaks down with most of you. And some of you that I don't know, I can only guess. It's breaking down anywhere between stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 1, I'll tell you about it. Stage 2, I'll tell you more. And stage 3, I'll tell you more. Stage 4 is very simple. Stage 4 is getting them started. Now, let me just preface all this by saying, don't get excited. We used to, a couple of years ago, we used to get excited because in this market, man, we get people signing up with gold packs left and right. Mm-hmm. Left and right and left and right and left and right. Gold packs are signing up all over. Bam, bam, gold packs, gold packs, gold packs. Do you know the result of getting people to sign up with a gold pack? Do you know what the result is? $150. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what it costs. $150. You made a sale, $150. Oh, it goes in a dual team, probably another $180. So 150 plus 180, you make $330. Wonderful. Some of the people that were the most proficient at signing the gold packs, they're gone. They're not even in this business anymore. Get the point? Because that's not the key to this business. But that young lady helped me see it that night, and I went back and I started developing a curriculum. Now, please understand, the first Night owl training I did was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was Sunday night. I had a certain number of invited guests come by my house, listen to the Millionaire Mentorship Call together with me, and then directly after we began the night owl training. I can tell you it was less than half of who's ever in here. I gave Mr. Settles the latitude, just like I gave Mr. Stotts the latitude, because we're going to make a determination, just like we made in Atlanta. Atlanta's easy. It's my home. We're going to do that night owl training with the curriculum that I'm designing and developing right now over the next 12 months. I know that that curriculum will do it. How? Because that's what I was paid to do for companies. I was paid to design their mechanism when they were, again, I think I wrote it on the board sometime. I think it was at lunch. SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Those 4 things I am an expert at. That's what I know. How I got to construction companies, I went in and did a project. I did an analysis for him, found out the weaknesses of his company, turned it around, and then I bought into the company because it was a home. When I say home base, it was in Atlanta for me, and I was a smart guy. I said, sooner or later, if I decided I didn't want to travel all over the country at a moment's notice like I used to, at least if I needed somewhere to work, I had my own company. I could go walk in and have my job. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So I bought the company. But while I was buying the company, I implemented everything that I knew would grow the company from the $3 million level at which I stepped in to the $10 million level at which we experienced the hard times of losing all that money. So understand that I'm not guessing with this, and by the time we're done, some of you will be blown away because you will see yourselves in a lot of the stages that I'm talking about. Okay? Now, let me preface also by saying some of you might not have really or may not, or should not, or may not even want to be here by the time I'm done, because it's not going to be easy. Because you're going to be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, doggone it, I really do that? I really don't know this? And it's okay, because it's all part of growth. Who's ready to grow? Yes. Ready to grow?
Yes.
Yes.
You grow yourself, you grow your income. Is that pretty good?
Yeah.
You grow yourself, you grow your income. Well, let's talk about stage 1. Stage 1 of the process of moving relationships forward is very simple. It's called likability and connection. Likability. And you can put a / connection. Now, the 4 steps, we understand the 4 steps, we have the 4 questions, and we have to you or anyone drink coffee or tea, or at least on occasion. You know what that's designed to do? Create connection. It's not designed to create likability, it's designed to create connection. Because if that person says yes, you now have a connection because they like coffee, you have coffee. Okay? But understand something. If you look at the big picture of how every relationship is built, every relationship is established, it's all based on you having a connection with somebody. Think about all the relationships you have. Okay? Think about all the relationships you have. Now, what was amazing is that when we had a consulting project, it pretty much went like this. Somebody set up an opportunity based on information put out there for us to come in and be allowed to dissect this CEO's company. They were anywhere from $2 million in revenue up to $100 million in revenue. That was our sweet spot. Okay? There were some bigger companies that did the 500 million and such, but our sweet spot was 2 million to 100 million. And essentially, I had anywhere from 2 to 5 days to get my job done. 2 to 5 days to get my job done, which if I'm successful, I eat. And if I'm not successful, I starve. My job is to win. My job is to get a signed contract that translates into $275 an hour, on average $15,000 per week, on average 10 to 15 weeks. That's my job. I knew my job well. The first challenge I had to deal with was the fact that when I walked in, most times I would hear, "Oh, you're Edward Hartley." Yeah. Some of y'all gonna catch that. Because they weren't expecting this Edward Hartley.
Right.
Oh, the name Edward Hartley, it goes a long way. But they did not expect the dark version of Edward Hartley. So what I would typically hear is, "Oh, okay, well, come on in. Let's see what you have to say." Which was the immediate condescending statement that set the tone for, you ain't going to be able to tell me nothing. But guess what? I'm in my element. I'm about to do me. And he didn't know who, or she didn't know who he just, or she just opened up. You know, it's funny, I was doing a sit down with some folks in Fort Lauderdale, and it was kind of cool because they came with some kids, right? And, you know, I got kids, so I'm talking to the kids, and, you know, one of the cute little girls, about 5 years old, and I said, hey, you guys know Nemo? And I go, yeah, I said, well, you look like Nemo. And then I pointed to the other kid. I said, do you know which one? I said, who knows who Crush is? Dude. You know, I said, who knows who's Crush? And Crush was the turtle. I said, well, I'm not Crush. I'm the shark. You know, that's what I was. Okay, so that's, and remember I told the story about how, I left dead bodies. That was my job. You know, while most people fly on airplanes and they you know how some business class travelers, they're doing crossword puzzles. Mm-hmm. Some are reading sports. Me, I'm playing chess. On my iPad, at any moment, I can pull up chess. Because chess is a game of strategy. And I'm about winning. And I got to think how many moves ahead? At least 5. Chess is broken up into 3 stages. The opening game, the middle game, the end game. I've got to see the end game long before we get to the middle, and I got to know how to open. And I always say to people, if I sit down with you and I beat you in 5 moves, you will never sit down with me again because you're too easy. That means you didn't think far ahead. I open up my computer. As soon as I get on the plane, and the first thing I do while I'm getting settled to fly is I pull up my chess and I start to play. It's a game of strategy. It's a game of strategy, but life is a game of strategy. So when I sit across from you, I had to have done some of my homework. I didn't get a whole lot of time. Do you know some of you guys don't even know who I really am because you never Googled me? Hello? Some of you have never even thought to go, I'm your upline blue diamond. You've never gone to my website. I showed that by asking who's been to my website. You need to know who you're engaged with. Hello? Mm-hmm. Hello? Makes sense, right? Well, watch this. So when I drive up, I know I'm here to win. And somehow somebody's going to win and somebody's going to... It's just no other way. There's no such thing as a tie. If I tie, I lose. If I tie, I don't eat. Agreed? So I had to learn how to win. But it was going to be not a combative situation. It had to be very smooth, very easy. So when I pull up, I have to be taking inventory. Because what's the first stage? Likability. Now, guess what? Likability does not mean that I want to marry your daughter. It doesn't mean I want to be invited over for Thanksgiving dinner. It doesn't mean that I have to be your best bud. What it means is that we are meeting each other on common ground. So I have to see what our connection is. The minute I pull up, I'm looking for my connection. I'm looking for my connection. I pull up, and I'm just giving you some examples. I pull up. Who typically parks closest to the door at any major corporation? CEO. So I'm looking to see on either side of the entrance who's parked, what kind of car is it? Is it a, I need to know. Because the CEO isn't parking in the shuttle lot that has to be shuttled over. CEO's parked right there. I need to see what kind of car it is. I need to know my cars. I need to be able to have conversation about my cars. Because if I got nothing else between the door and his desk or her desk, I got the car. Make sense? So I'm already armed. I'm already armed because I'm thinking ahead. I got the 5 moves of my opening. Because when I get to the receptionist, I know the receptionist is like, do you have an appointment? I already know that. I already expected that. I am not surprised when I hear, oh, so you're Edward Hartley. I already expected that. I am not shocked. I'm not put back. I am ready for that. So now my job is, as I'm walking past the receptionist, as they're walking me either to the office or the conference room, I am looking for things in common with me because I have a few minutes. How often? What is it? You only have a first chance to make, you have no second chance to make first impression? All right? So I've got to make sure that when we sit down, I can break the ice because you're already set back. You're trying to figure out how to get rid of me. I already know that. But you see, here's the thing. A lot of us are messing up that first stage of connection, first stage of likability, because we're like vampires with our coffee. We're just going to ram it down somebody's throat. I'm going to find you. I'm going to chase you down. And guys, don't get it twisted. Don't think I didn't see y'all, how y'all was acting at the dinner table tonight. Y'all was scoping out all them people, man, looking like vultures. I'm going to pounce on him. I saw that. You saw that? You didn't see that?
I saw it.
You saw it? They were like, hey, look at that person. Oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. No. I will tell you like this. I walk through airports all the time and I see sharp people. And I believe, Bishop, we're back to I'm believing, right?
Yeah.
I believe that everything happens in the universe, it's drawn to me at my time. So I could be walking through the airport and I'll see a sharp person and the conversation will only happen when it's ordained or when it's predetermined. I am not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to know because that person will already know because they're not stupid. They've lived life. They see I'm going out of my way to get face to face with them and puts me at a disadvantage. So don't do it because that person has seen you. Don't force it. Guys, I sponsored Damon Coleman after watching him for a period of time. It wasn't until I spotted the t-shirt his wife was wearing. He was walking 5 paces behind her, and I said something to him in passing, and what I said was striking enough. It was a connection enough that he wanted to know who the heck. And I kept moving. I kept walking, jumped in my car, and drove off while he's trying to, hey, man, hey. See, I already knew I was going to see him again. Everybody understand?
Yeah.
I already knew I was going to see him again. But what I said was, it was my move. It was my opening move. I already had the end game in sight because I already peeked him out. He was driving a big Escalade. I'm like, well, okay. And every time I left to go out anywhere, it was always 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And our trucks were the only 2 vehicles in the parking lot. That means everybody else had jobs. Well, he and I were the only ones left. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what he into? I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know. When I saw the t-shirt, it was a dead giveaway. So I said to him, ain't nothing like that network marketing money, is there? And he trying to figure out, because now he nervous. Is he that? Like we live in an apartment complex. He worried about to rob him because I know he got some loot. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it was the connection. Now he wanted to know who I am. But I wasn't going to let him have that because I have to play hard to get. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be so easy. Don't be so transparent. Don't be so visible. Don't be so easy to telegraph your moves. The reason you do it is because you don't have enough people in your pipeline that you got to act thirsty over that one guy. Hello? And then when you get that one guy, you blurt out everything. You spit out your whole guts. You ghetto puke all over them. And then you wonder why they go into the witness protection plan. I don't know nobody in the witness protection plan. They calling me. They are calling me. Mr. Jolivet, the guy we talked to a little while ago, I talked to when I was in the car. I was returning his call. Remember he said, oh, I called you a little while ago because. What'd he say? Stand up and tell everybody what he said.
Talking about the gentleman from Brazil?
Yeah.
Okay. He said that he was giving you a call back because everyone here want to know when Organo Glow was going to open because they all want it.
How long did I stay on the phone with him? I'll call you back. So I'll be back. Hey, listen, I've been traveling. Oh, am I excited? I've been working this guy. I've been working this guy. Now I got him calling me. And I saw him ringing me. I did not answer. I waited and then called him back. And stayed on this long. And then got off the phone. I said, look, I'll be back in Atlanta tomorrow. Let's talk tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm going to forget. Deliberately. I need to keep him on the wanting. Yeah. We got a connection. The connection is simple. We got some likability. But see, here's the thing. I can't go in for the kill. How many of you guys have had some experience with dating? If you're married, You like over 18, not 18? You ain't dating nobody, so you can't raise your hand. I don't know, but my 18-year-olds can't date nobody. So if you date somebody, don't tell us. Don't tell mama, don't tell nobody. So we've had some experience with dating, am I correct? Okay, so we meet somebody today, and what, by midnight we go to the altar? There's a process. Hello? Gotta get to know, gotta feel it out, right? And I'm speaking just on a relationship basis, okay? Before you get to that point. Agree? But some of us are so ready that the person looks you in your eye, next thing you want to do, you pulling out an application and you chasing them around the mall. And they're calling me, Mr. Hartley, I met this guy in the mall, I don't understand why you won't sign up. But don't you worry, I'm calling back 15 times tomorrow. And we're going to do a three-way. What should I say? Are you serious? What should I say? You haven't earned the right because you're still in stage one. Stage one is you ain't connection. I meet people all the time. Now I can tell the story about Shirley. Yeah, today I was going to tell you all about Shirley as a prelude to tonight. Shirley and I met. And nobody believes this. Because if you see us, and she's frontline to me, you would swear Shirley and I are like old friends. Matter of fact, we were with that lady yesterday, and she thought I went to school with Shirley. Mildred, right? We were with Mildred, and Mildred swam out. You must go to school with Shirley. I'm like, nope. Met Shirley in the elevator at the Marriott on the waterfront. And here's the funny thing. Charles was in the car. I walked into the elevator. Shirley walked into the elevator. We were on the concierge lounge floor, the concierge floor. She walks in with a cup. It had a green logo on it. And she just holding it, and I'm watching her. Now, I'm on my way to the meeting. She's dressed, and I don't know where she's going, but she's dressed, holding a cup. So I asked her, I said, hey, so what's in your cup? What's in your cup? It didn't have to sound like, do you or anyone you know drink coffee or tea later on occasion. I just said, so, what's in your cup? She said, oh, it's water. I'm about to take this stuff. I'm going to church and people have, allergies. So I'm like, oh, she don't get coffee. I'm on my way somewhere. I ain't got time to investigate. We got from the 32nd floor down to the ground floor. I said, well, listen, you have a great night. And I started stepping. I made sure to walk ahead of her so she can see I was clean that night. I'm going to walk ahead of her. She can't see me if I'm behind her. So I'm clean. But that day I was clean. Well, I was in a black suit, black pinstripe. Everything was right. Because I was coming to present in Baltimore. You know I'm coming right? So now mind you, I told you I see everything. So she's behind me, I can still see her. Because all I got to do is turn my head slightly and my peripheral view sees everything. That's how I win. I won't have to turn my head. I could be walking down the hallway with the CEO and I've seen what's in every office as I'm walking by. Get it? I can't turn my head to telegraph that I'm looking, that I'm digging for the connection. So I've learned how to observe everything. I'm trained that way. Just like a detective. Any police officers? Any CIA police officers? Retired? Okay, detective or just officer? But they taught you how to observe everything and to assess, right? I do the same thing. That's what a forensic accountant really does. I'm like Quincy for businesses. I'm looking for anything that I can see that gives me a clue. So I'm walking ahead of Shirley, right? And I'm trying to figure it out, okay, who is she? Because she's sharp. But I'm not going to play that and I can't stop. I get into Charles's black BMW and I realize they brought up a burgundy Jaguar. I never looked at her, but I could see her getting in and I could see she's looking at me. I take my jacket off, get in, drive off, life is good. Well, you know that ain't the end of the story because me and Shirley are friends, right? but I was gone. Next morning, me and Mike Settles and a handful of you guys, and some of y'all don't even remember, y'all came to the Marriott that next morning. It was a Friday morning. We met downstairs. But prior to that, me and Mike were upstairs in the concierge lounge. The funny thing is, I'm sitting there having breakfast in this particular spot, and who walks in there with some pink slippers? Shirley. Some pink slippers and some jeans on a Friday morning. Now, if that didn't get my attention. So she spots me, and it turns out that I'm sitting in her favorite spot. So I'm like, so she acknowledges. She says, well, you sit in my spot, but it's okay. Hey, good to see you. Nice slippers. She kept moving. I kept moving. Having my food. That was her spot. And I didn't know her story. That was her spot. But she said hello to everybody she came in. She was well known in the concierge lounge. I'm like, okay. She the mayor. So I'm saying, well, it's good because now we got a basic connection, right? We've seen each other twice.
Yes.
I'm sitting in her spot.
Oh, yeah.
But I ain't going to say, well, you can come have your spot. I didn't even invite her to come sit with me, though I'm by myself. I'm waiting for Mike Settles to show up. But I'm watching her move through, but I'm not letting her see me watch her. The interesting thing, she sat down with somebody else. They went on about their business. Mike comes, he sits down. Now, about an hour and a half later, she's leaving. Now she sees us sitting there. She decides to step to us and start a conversation. The conversation was very light. And of course, what did Michael Settles start to do? Mike, what'd you start to do? Somebody missed it because you were talking over here. Yeah. What did Mike Settles do? He identified me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she came over, because he'd never seen her before, but she came over and she started talking to me. He began to edify me. Next thing you know, she sat, it took her a while, she stood for a while, and then she sat down. And Mike offered her some coffee, so I'm sitting there, he's already edifying me, and I'm just sitting there. And Mike says, you know what? We need to get you some coffee. He gets up, leaves, and I'm sitting there with her. Now the conversation begins, and we start to connect. The connection was there. She's a humorous individual. We had a lot to laugh about. And then we went to stage 2, right there. Stage 2 was we gained respect. How did stage 2 happen? Mike Settles made it happen. But that wasn't his prospect. But you don't have to only edify for yourself. You have to learn how to edify just as a whole. As a whole. You know why? Because you may never know. The person you just edified for, what a coincidence. Shirley did go down in the dual team under Mike. Wow. That person you just edified that's not frontline to me may have fallen under you. Mm-hmm. Isn't that pretty cool? Mm-hmm. But now we're moving towards edification. It's called gaining respect. So stage 2 is gaining respect / edification. Some of us don't know how to edify. We're so busy worrying about edifying ourselves. Let me tell you something. I spoke of this recently. If you are self-edifying, if you are self-promoting, if you are constantly pushing your stuff, well, look at me, nobody's going to look at you. You've got to create edification. If you don't know how to edify, meaning the only thing you know how to do is talk about me, stop talking about me and say he. Because when you edify the person you're sitting next to, you get a stronger connection with that person. Because that person will start to say, wow, she had no clue who I am. And if it came from my mouth, I would sound vain and whatever. But she heard it from him, and now she's curious. So he comes back with coffee and a magazine. Bam, he puts it in front of her. Yeah. And she's like, oh, really? Okay. She kept the coffee. She kept the magazine. We exchanged numbers, and life was good. Well, obviously, the story ain't over, but that was the end of Shirley for that moment, because we had gone into stage 2. See, stage 2, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a story right now, who's in the business 90 days or less? Okay, you don't have a story. You don't have a story. Well, you have a story because earlier when I asked who are doctors with doctor on their name, you raised your hand. Let me tell you a funny story about a doctor who I prospected in a parking lot. And I actually made a bet with the person who I was with that this lady and her husband were in network marketing. I won the bet because I could spot them. I could spot them. And my friend was like, how do you know? And I said, I'll show you. Once I was able to make the connection, the relationship began. Hello? And I never once asked about coffee. What I really wanted to connect with was, are we in the industry together? Once that connection was there, the relationship began. Okay? We were moving the relationship with this particular person who I met in the parking lot forward. I reached out, but before I reached out, I Googled. I went on Facebook, I went on the internet, and I Googled. Guys, see, 25 years ago when I first got into the industry, we ain't had this luxury. Today, before I sit down with you, I want to know about you. So, her name was Dr. Willingham. Dr. Willingham, I Googled her. The only thing that showed up was about her medical practice. Immediately, I know she's not a big player in the industry because if she was, something about her network marketing experience would have shown up. Agreed? Yeah. But her medical practice showed up. So I'm saying to her, what's my connection? Well, I am an ambassador to the industry, and I'd love to meet with you and share with you the vast knowledge because by now you should have Googled me and seen I've been in the industry for a minute. And maybe she did because she quickly agreed and set the appointment to come. We set the appointment at my house. Come to my house. That day, I set the appointment for my house because I knew the company she was with, and I know that they are inherently kind of, cult-like. They're kind of, they're like really into their company. So I'm saying, before, let's set the mutual respect at a level that's so high, when she rolls up at my house, she's gonna know. Well, the day she saw me, I was driving a Hummer. The next time, I made sure all the cars were clean and they were all outside. And at the time she drove up, and I also knew what she was driving. And don't get me wrong, it's not. It's a Nissan Pathfinder. Nothing wrong with Nissan Pathfinder, except that it was old. And dirty. So she shows up in the Nissan Pathfinder, and she walks into my house. And we began to create the relationship. But there was a problem. She really wasn't ready for that meeting because she came in unprepared. She came in looking scruffy. Mm-hmm. Nails didn't look right. Mm-hmm. Shoes didn't look right. Mm-hmm. And the kitchen wasn't right. Don't come in my house looking nappy talking about you gonna free me. Nappy at Joe and talking about you gonna free me. About how your company creates true residual. You sitting in $1 million house, my car, the rims on my car cost more than yours. Your shoes, she wearing some Mary Janes. Wow. Nails wasn't done, hair was nappy, and she tried to free me. Guys, don't do that. Make sure you write before you start talking freedom. But she came into my house. And she began to become combative. My company wasn't my company that paid for all this that you're sitting on, that paid for that leather sofa that. Right, let me just speak. That you're sitting on, and you're not talking about my company. And they want to challenge me to convince her why my company is so great. I didn't do that. Nice. I'm good. This is why we do this. Why don't we catch up another time? Yeah, it's time for my next appointment. And I stood up and walked towards the door, and she didn't get the hint. I'm about to put her in a witness protection plan. You understand? But guys, some people are doing that to y'all, and you don't see it. Hello? She still didn't get it. I'm trying to get her out the door, so I had to walk out the door, go down half the steps, and say, "You go." Because you don't have to go home, but you got to get up out of here. And I'm laughing at this thing, and I'm saying, you mean people really make these mistakes and call themselves network marketers? Seriously. Lady, I could teach you something. Don't come in here trying to knock me over the head. Thank you. What can you offer me after 25 years in this industry? What can you offer me? I mean, humble, humility, you know? But my point is, she was Dr. Willingham. She was riding off of her reputation as a doctor, which didn't impress me that much anyway. But she wasn't talking about me being her patient. She was trying to get me in her network marketing program. She did not follow stage 1. She did not build a relationship with proper respect. Stage 2, she argued with me about why her company was better than mine. Do you see the difference? Guys, if anyone ever tries to argue with you, just smile at them and let it go. They're not the ones. There is no one person that's your prospect that will make or break your business. Because you go through that crap and bring them in your business, you will forever be burdened with that crap. You don't need that. This business is designed to be fun. Jose Ardon said, it's a phone-based business. You can't have fun if you argue with somebody. Right? So stage 2, ladies and gentlemen, is edify. So you don't have a story, no problem. Don't trip off of it. Spend your time talking about your mentor, your coach, your upline, your whomever. Because you guys are fortunate. You've got upline that care about you. Today, whenever it was, I talked about the fact that you got $1 million producer in this market. Okay. Well, he's not your upline. He's in this market. You edify him nonetheless. He's not your upline. But you edify him nonetheless. Why? Because he's paid the price. He will make you look better. Because until you get your own story, you need a story. Don't go in there with no story. And Mary Jane's. Bad hair. Don't do that. At least have a story. Okay? Make sure your shoes are shiny, okay? But you get my drift?
Yeah.
Use it. I remember David Emenitier gave me the authority to be free and grow my, step forward. Because I was so happy. I edified him I still do, but I edified like crazy. And one day, it was December 2010, he said, hey, bro, it was a Saturday morning, I'll never forget. He said, hey, bro, it's time for you to go forward and step out of my shadow and go lead your team. I said, but why? You're doing such a good job. I was already a diamond. I was like, this is good. Here, Dave, you get in front. Dave. And here's Dave. Everywhere I went, I had Dave in front of me. I was afraid I would make a mistake and either somebody sees my, my strong background, which was already used to killing people, dead bodies. But Dave's was so endearing, so I'm like, look at Dave, don't look at me. And then Dave was like, nah, bro, you gotta go do this, man. I'm like, oh, snap. There's no more Dave in front of me. But I knew how to edify. So though Dave wasn't there, I always edified Dave. Strong. It's a direct correlation. Now watch this. Today is the first of the night out session, right? You're going to get some information that you probably didn't know, and then you're probably going to ask yourself, am I truly edifying or not? Am I good at edifying or not? Am I really edifying to the height that's getting me the results that I deserve or not? And the tail of the tape is you can go in your back office and watch your check and get the answer. If your check isn't high, your edification ain't high enough. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because your friends won't tell you because you're sweet and nice and kind. They won't tell you that when they look at you, they don't trust you. They don't believe you. They're going to dance around it and beat around the bush. Stage 2 is what? You got to develop respect. But they don't respect you. Because they don't know you as having any success in this industry. How do I know? Why did I put Dave in front of me? Because let me tell you something. In the 11 months between the time he first called me and when I signed up, I joined 3 companies. 3 companies. Oh, Sterling did too. He was part of 2. You too?
Yeah.
Or you was always with? Oh, ain't that something? Okay, we joined a bunch of companies. So by that time, we were the chief executive officers of the NFL. No friends left. No friends left. Ain't nobody. Yeah, this one is really the one. It's the same mindset with the guy who owns the $50 million corporation. Don't you know who I am? Didn't you see the Maserati parked outside? That's what he's thinking. Who are you to come in and talk to me about whatever? You're not as smart as me. You're not as successful as me. You don't know what I know. That's the mindset. In this business, you have to already anticipate that and you can't rely on your background because that's not it. That's not what you're going to get unless you didn't talk about what you do. In this business, you have to utilize an experience. You have to create the experience of mutual respect. So how do you do that? You just keep on edifying. So, have you written down who you are yet? Your skill set, based on what Mr. Emanitier talked about on that Millionaire Mentorship call, your skill set in the network marketing industry is what you have to write down who you are. Agreed? Mm-hmm. That's what you have to do. Because until you effectively do that, you can't move to stage 3. It's permission-based. You understand? Oh, you can force it, and it'll backfire on you. But you won't realize how it backfires. You won't realize how it backfires. I personally sponsored 63 people. I've never had anyone return a case or a kit. I've never. You know why? Because they all wanted to sign up with me. Even Shirley. Shirley was the senior or something with the school district of Baltimore. And she took the magazine, she took the coffee, she liked it, we talked on the phone, she said, wow. Now, I had already asked her a lot of questions. See, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth because I asked her a lot of questions and I listened to her and she told me what her goal was. She had no kids, she'd never been married, she was financially independent, but she had to work another 10 years to be able to create the income level to afford her to travel and live the lifestyle that she's living while she's working. So I asked a silly question. The silly question I asked was, what if you were able to compress that time and be free in half the time? Meaning, instead of working 10 years, you're out in 5 years. Would that be something that's appealing to you? What do you think she answered?
Yes.
Yeah. So I immediately gave her half, right? No. See, that's what the amateur would have done. Giving her half. Okay, well, I have a great opportunity. Because that's all she's hearing. You ask one question, and you're, yes, okay, here I come. I'm in. No, you're not. You haven't even given permission yet. She answered the question, and I said, great. Here's what I'd like you to do. Here's what I'd like you to do. Here's what I'd like you to do. Can you put that down on paper? Here's what I'd like you to do. Because I'm going to give you something to do. Ramona, every 3-way call that we have done in the last couple of days, have I not given them an instruction?
Yes, very clear.
Very clear instruction, because you're going to show me who you are. You either follow instructions or you don't. What's the first key to being successful? You got to be teachable and coachable. And if you're not teachable and coachable, meaning I can't ask you to do something and you do it, then we really can't work together. So I said, here's what I'd like you to do. She already answered affirmatively, so she's halfway there. So I need you to go back and take a look at this website and then write down any questions that you have and give me a call back on Monday. Can you do that? Can I count on you to do that? I gave her an assignment. Some of us are so excited the person said yes to us and we're ready to go in for the kill. No, I ain't ready. No, because you're going to ask me for this. You're going to want this from me. How many of you guys have ever heard Miss EBT say, you got to want it? Well, you can't expect them to want it if you jammed it down their throat. What do babies do when you jam something down their throats? As a prospecting or in this relationship building, you jam it down their throat, what are they going to do? They're going to spit it out either in front of you or when you're not looking. So, you ask him to do something. Here's what I need you to do. That's what I did. Shirley, here's what I want you to do. Based on what Shirley came back with me, the question she asked me, I said, hey, listen, you know what? We have an event, and this was the one that's in Crystal City. I said, we got an event coming up in Crystal City. And though I'm not scheduled to be in town, if you check your calendar right now, and your calendar and my calendar coincide, I'll come, and you can be my VIP guest at this event. Can you check your calendar for me? Give her something else to do. What do you think she did? Check her calendar. And she committed. And I said, great. I didn't give her a lot of time. It was that week. And I bought a ticket and I flew up. But I had already seen who she was. She was someone who would follow up on what they said they were going to do. Why am I going to be chasing somebody? Or why am I going to fly up here when I can't count on you to call me when I ask you to call me? Or I can't count on you to do what I asked you to do. You're not reliable. How many of you guys consider yourself reliable? Well, those are the people we want in the business. So we want somebody who has the same connection as us. So I'm testing her to see if she'd like me. Agreed? Yeah. So when she did that, I said, great. I said, oh, by the way, I'll be staying in the same hotel. What about you? Shirley's story is her house was flooded out, so the insurance company was putting her up at the hotel. And she'd been living there for 9 months? About 9 months. Okay. So she was always at that hotel. So I knew if I wanted to see Shirley, I stayed at that hotel. So Shirley, I'm going to fly in that night. What do you have planned the night before the event? Maybe we can get together, have some dinner, talk a little bit more about the business, and then we'll go to the event together. How's that work, Shirley? Does that work for you? Sure. That's how we started. When we got to the event, she had no clue what she was going to experience. She had no clue. But when we walked in, I said not a word to her from the time we walked in. I sat her down in the VIP section, and I walked away from her. Which is what I always do. Right, Ramona? I never engage someone at the meeting. Because that's too much chatter. Let the event do the event. You just guide them in and make sure they do. So what did we do? Here's an interesting thing. I got Shirley to get that mutual respect, and then we went to stage 3. With her permission, we went to stage 3. Stage 3 was gaining acceptance. Now here is the parentheses. Gaining acceptance, but seeing herself in the deal. Seeing herself in it. There's a difference. See, someone may, how do you know someone sees himself in it? They're asking you questions. What else? There you go. What else? Exactly. How does this work when I start to do, I understand you guys do launches, so how do I go about launching my business? That's an acceptance where they, see, some people fall for the head fake. They fall for the acceptance. And I hear it all the time. People come up to me after and say, wow, that was a great presentation. Man, and I'm listening for what they're saying. And that's when I'm going to determine who I talk to and who I walk away from. For real. If you ever see me standing talking to somebody for a little period of time, it's because they're saying the right things. If they're not saying the right things, on to the next one. I'm not there to change his mindset. So at the luncheon, guy comes up to me, he says, hey, yesterday though, guy comes up to me and says, wow, great presentation, man. Wow, that's awesome. He said, man, the way the way your voice and the way you project and congratulations on everything you're doing. He's not the right one. I already heard that. Right. Dude, I don't need you don't need to congratulate me. I'm good. You try to say some nice things to kind of distract me from kind of trying to get it on you, bro. I ain't gonna ask you all that. I am not gonna try to close you. I am not going to close you because all you're going to be is $330 today that might result in a return 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Why am I closing you? You better want it. So when I walk away, you already know. I used to wonder how David would walk away from me. I used to wonder how Halton would walk away. Now I know, we've heard it enough times. So until I hear that person say, like, whose prospect was it? It was Anna Jolivet's prospect. Got up from her seat, walked around to me, asked me to get my iPad, asked me to research her brother and talk about we need to get him involved with this as we build it. Because he is powerful. And our cousin, then we can go. Yeah. She sold herself. Why am I wasting my time trying to convince him guy? She gained acceptance. So the gaining acceptance is good. Here's gaining acceptance that's not that. I call that the head fake. Okay? The head fake. The head fake goes like this. Wow, that sounds pretty good. Seems like you guys are going to make a lot of money with that. Awesome. Yeah. Well, then you'll ask the silly question is, yeah, so you ready to get signed up? Well, here's what we should do. Here's what I want us to do. You call me next week, come by, matter of fact, Thursday. No, come back Friday, because Friday's payday. And then we're going to sit down and go through the application. And you get excited. You call up your upline and you're like, yeah, I got me a possible. Yeah. This ain't Bidwist. This ain't Spades. It ain't True and Impossible. You ain't got no possible. You got head fakes.
Yes.
They got you thinking, and now you're gonna spend your whole week worrying about, oh, I can't wait till Friday. I got me a possible. And then you get there, and guess what starts to happen? They spent all week researching what they need to research to shut you down. Yes. Asking you questions. Guys, today I said something in front of Peggy. I don't know who Peggy is, but Peggy asks me all kind of scientific questions all the time. And I always say to her, I said, Peggy, every question that's asked of you is not a question you have to answer. And what she says to me is, yeah, but the prospect asked me, she wants an answer. Serious? Yeah. Not every question. See, but we get so pompous because I am you know who and I pride myself on being able to answer every question. Sorry. You know what gets people's attention? Go make a lot of money. They won't care what you know. Yeah. You can be dumb as a doornail. I know nothing. All I know is. My man with emerald and diamond saying, I know nothing. All I know is.
Yeah.
He my boy. We got to the point, though, Holton had to say, yo, Cosmos, you gotta know something. You know, that about to work when you was a sapphire and a ruby and an emerald, but bro, you gave me a diamond. I ain't know nothing. You can't do that, man. You gotta know something. Pick something and know it. Everything else, I know nothing. You see, you don't have to know everything. So busy trying to be the expert for what? Guys, Gano Durban, been around a long time. You don't have to become the scientific expert. Somebody says, well, I don't know about that coffee. I think it has such and such a percentage of such and such. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that mean to me? Do you drink coffee? Great, drink it. I mean, what's it going? See, the reason it's not a point to me is because I haven't asked you to join my business yet. Because I'm not done interviewing you. I'm not done deciding whether I'm going to work with you or not. Guys, you don't have to accept everybody. But the ones that meet you on neutral ground, and you then say yes, and they say yes, meaning that they see themselves gaining acceptance and moving into that place. That's when you know you're in a good position to get them started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's where the breakdown typically occurs. Right there. Because you didn't get the appropriate acknowledgement and acceptance. And then when you come back on Friday, they come back with all these questions, or you can't get in to see them on Friday, or they call you back and say, oh yeah, forgot about that. Let's do it tomorrow. What time? Around 6:30. And you know you got a 6 o'clock CJM, but you're so worried about your possible that you're going to run over there and try to get in there anyway. And then you're going to call your upline and say, listen, I got this real serious prospect, and I got to go meet them. And then when you get there, they're not there, or they stand you up, or they don't call you, or you can't reach them, or whatever, and you've now missed out on 2 situations. Agreed? But this is not happening to anybody here, right? Ever?
All the time.
All the time, right? All the time, right? The breakdown happens right there. The breakdown is right there between gaining acceptance. They do not see themselves. They may see it, but they don't see themselves. Anybody remember the quote that I had the young man in Trinidad text me, what the lady who just signed up said to him?
Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember? It's in my phone.
It was something about with network marketing, it's only for people that can't do anything else.
Right. Had no education, basically had no degrees, had no education, and couldn't do anything else with their time. And that person believed it, but a lot of people didn't. First name is Sandra. What did she say? You remember what she said? She sent the message to her daughter.
She was just saying that she gets the idea, but she can't see herself.
Get it? Sometimes people will tell you, oh yeah, I see it, it makes sense. I just can't see myself selling coffee. And then you start to close them. Call me up, okay, so what do I do? When the person says, what do I do? When I try to get in and they won't let me in, they got the door, they've got the barricade on the door. The police are parked outside. They've issued a warrant for my arrest. They're calling me a stalker, and I don't know why. You don't get the hint yet. You are a stalker. You're a ghetto stalker. Serious? You see, I remember when CEOs would try that old head fake on me. Well, honestly, I see that the corporation could benefit from that, but no, I think we should probably just maybe have you come back and speak to the board of directors. I think it sounds good, but yeah, let's have you talk to the board of directors. Dude, I looked at your company. I pulled up the corporate records. The board of directors is you and your wife and your baby.
Oh,
yeah. And for the last 14 years, you've been running this company at a moderate profit. And you ain't figured out how to make it better. So you talking to them is going to result in the same thing that it's done for the last 14 years. So, I think we know by now what the definition of insanity is. Doing the same thing over and over for different results. Why don't we try it a different way? Wouldn't that work better?
Yeah.
All I did is disarm him. Well, he ain't dead yet because he hasn't pulled his gun out. I mean, I got my gun cocked. He hasn't pulled his gun out. No, my gun's cocked. I'm ready for him. You see, you understand? I'm already expecting that. Most of us don't expect, because we think just because we showed them something and we liked it, that it should automatically fall into their acceptance for them. No, wrong. We're busy portraying ourselves and our likes on them. It's wrong. It's wrong. We have to listen. And then we expect that they're going to try to wiggle and squirm. Well, let's answer the questions and let's address it and determine if we really have acceptance. And if not, I think a nice thing to do is take it away. Yes, sir.
I always keep remembering, quote unquote, once we sit there and have Mr. Hartley, one of my prominent people, and we tried to talk to Mr. Hartley about how much he was and what he had. Mr. Hartley just turned off, so he looked at me and said, "Did you just dismiss me?" I said, "Yeah, I think he did."
I remember the guy.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. We're done. Because really, did we look? You still are successful with a huge organization without him. But I wasn't rude to him, was I? But he felt. He was like, just ended this conversation. I was done. We had already done all the stuff. All around her. We had gone ring around the rosy, and we were done. Sometimes you gotta take it away. He never joined, and we kept on moving.
He did tell me this week that he's been following you.
Oh!